It's not part of God's plan. I'm really not sure that anybody should say that in response to finding out that somebody's not been able to have children. Because I don't know about you, but I was always taught that you shouldn't talk about religion, politics or sex with people that you don't really know. Because you've got no idea what their opinions are, what their viewpoints are beforehand, and it's so easy to offend. So I really don't think this should be mentioned at all, as I said. Discussing it though, it's a difficult one because people are so sensitive, invested in their beliefs. They might strongly believe in God, they might strongly believe that there is no such thing. And I do know people who have a belief in God, and that belief has been shaken by not being able to have children. I know other people who have had that belief strengthened. And I know some people who found God or found religion in some form or another because of what they were going through, and they found that having a faith supported them, it helped them in some way. Now, the next thing I want to mention could well upset people, so I will be as respectful of other people's opinions as possible. However, I do think it needs to be mentioned because, you know, I am a very kind, generous, loving woman. My husband is wonderful, and I believe we would have made fantastic parents. And in fact, many of the people we know who have children have often said to us, you know, you would make fantastic parents. And we see in the news so many times about stories of people who have left their sort of 6-year-old child at home whilst they went on holiday for a week. And, you know, they were left on their own, which is totally wrong. We all know that children get abused, they are neglected. Sometimes they are even killed, murdered by people who should be looking after them, by parents. So I find it very difficult to accept that it's not God's plan that I shouldn't have children and that Andrew shouldn't be a father, when he will allow children to be born into those situations, because that's not something I believe that a loving God would do. Why would you do that to the child? And also, you know, it's not God's plan for me to have a child, and yet it is God's plan for somebody who's addicted to drugs to have a child. It's in God's plan to allow a 11 or 12-year-old girl get pregnant by a 13 or 14-year-old boy. You know, and that doesn't make sense to me at all. So, as I say, I really have a struggle with that. And I can imagine that if I have a struggle with that, then it must be so difficult for people who do have a faith to sort of square that circle, if you like, because they must feel even more deeply than I that there's something wrong with that sort of thought process, that it's not in God's plan for me, who will give a child a loving home, yet it is in God's plan for somebody who would abuse that child. And I also know personally somebody who was raped, and she became pregnant. She was from a she is from a very staunchly Irish Catholic background, and abortion was just not on the cards. And I've known this woman for 30 years, actually no, probably nearly 40 years now, and she had all sorts of mental health issues as a result of this. She dearly loves her daughter, however there are all sorts of other emotions going on as well, and you know, surely that wasn't part of God's plan either. So yeah, a difficult one. And I hope that I've sort of said those sorts of things in a way that is respectful, etc., of people's beliefs. because I don't want to offend anybody. However, I do think these things need to be mentioned, but it isn't supportive of us. Thank you.